It's hard to imagine a time where flamenco wasn't in the restaurants or the peñas or the tablaos. Especially here in Vancouver, BC, Canada. I have grown up my whole life in the restaurant scene here, learning flamenco alongside of Jafelin and Gary. And that's really where our training happens. We learn things in the classroom and in private lessons, but some of the most important training is actually on the job in front of live people week after week after week. And that's how why we have a very strong community of musicians and also dancers all the way halfway across the world from Spain. But if we look back in history and go back to the 1800s to the 1900s, it wasn't always so. The cuadro didn't really exist until this time period, the Golden Age of Flamenco, called the Cafés Cantantes.
I think I would love to be living in that time.
Me too.
Because that was when everybody, like the most important singers and dancers, developed.
This is the first time we've seen commercialization of flamenco in an actual establishment where people have to pay to see it. And as I understand it, the dancer became the main attraction.
Major attraction, and it was presented for all kind of different social level classes.
So they were allowed to
mix. Important singers and dancers were already there, golden period. We have to remember in Madrid there were one of the three most important ones.
Which were they?
Café Imparcial, Café de Naranjeros, and Café La Marina in 1890. Café La Marina was the most famous one in the whole entire country. So Cafés Cantantes were developing through the whole entire country, and then in other places, in other cities, in other countries also. Paris, in many different places outside Spain. One of the differences that we can see in this period is that fiestas were not, fiestas were happening and they were not told when the fiesta started or ending. And Café Cantantes had always a set already organized, telling you in the cartel which one was coming, and actually a cartel, beautiful cartels showing the guitars with a picture, a name and everything, and the singers and the dancers.
Posters.
There's a cartel right there.
This is a cartel. 1890, we have Ramon Montoya in the Café Cantante La Marina, and so that he made the guitar an art form by itself.
So this is the first of the famous guitarists?
This is the first time the guitar takes like a first place, right, in the history on its own.
So that means the flamenco guitar is only 130 years old as a solo art form?
Maybe 100 years. As a solo,
as a solo.
Maybe 100 years.
Today we know flamenco as being the most difficult of all guitar technique, isn't it?
Yeah, but always remember, guitar advanced much, much faster than singing. Some of the famous artists in this period are, of course, Silverio Franconetti, El Mellizo, Juan Breva, very important singer also, El Nitri also, and Antonio Chacon is here, he's Jerezano, very important, and his voice was super lyrical. Antonio Chacon, very respected for Malagueña. In guitar, we have Paco de Lucena, Javier Molina, Miguel Borrul y Patillo. Y en el baile, La Macarrona, La Malena, La Mejorana, El Estampillo. We have so many. Gabriel Ortega.
Well, it seems like a very important period, just mainly because that's the first time we're seeing the cuadro intact. Totally. Up until this point, it was all in living rooms or in homes or informally, and for the first time, probably if they're focused on the dancer, that's probably the first time Flamenco Fashion came into real play and as a form of entertainment, right?
In those times, I know there were two dancers. They were dressed up already in male costumes. One was dressed up as a bullfighter,